weather in this live video. What we're going to do is talk about earthquakes because we had a 2.0 moment magnitude earthquake at 3 o'clock in the morning near the Belltown Mill area of Tellico Plains. We'll talk more about that in a second, but we've had quite a few earthquakes around the globe the last few years, the last 10 days, I should say, obviously over the last 10 years, and most of them are on these big fault lines, these big borders of tectonic plates, and that includes in Ecuador. 3 people were hurt last Friday on the 25th from a 6.5 moment magnitude in that area along the Andes. So I'm just updating my Facebook page. We've got a little bit of breaking news as well, but I do want to answer any kind of questions you have and just alleviate any concern that you might have about earthquakes back home. Do you remember this piece of video? This was an earthquake, I think like 1 or 2 weeks ago, and it was felt in San Diego. And so these elephants at the San Diego Zoo formed this alert circle to protect one of their young. I thought that was fascinating. The news with that video went all over the world. And as we zoom in, you can see them kind of trying to figure out what's going on. And they're protecting their young just like we people would do. But that alert circle, fascinating video. Never seen anything like it. And we've got one more piece of video to show you as well. Is that the same thing with that alert circle too? But oh yeah, this was the seismographs in San Diego, LA, feeling that. On that note about seismographs, we actually have what they say is the world's most sensitive seismograph in all of Earth in our own backyard, Tuckaleechee Caverns. And we don't get a lot of big earthquakes here, so what is it for? Well, it's actually used by the U.S. government to find out about potential unannounced nuclear tests across the Earth, all at Tuckaleechee Cavern. So these are the earthquakes around the globe. You see some 5s off the coast of Japan and Kamchatka, a bunch along the Aleutian Islands, of course a bunch in California. And then all of a sudden, where there's no fault, it's the East Tennessee Seismic Zone, along with the New Madrid. So this is just the last 24 hours. And the reason we're talking about this now is because we did have that 2.0 moment magnitude. It was 13 miles deep into Earth. It was at basically the Belltown Mill intersection around Tellico Plains and Cherokee Winds Drive cabin area near Tellico Plains. What a beautiful area. I was just looking at it on Google Maps. As we look out a little farther, it's 4 miles away from Tellico Plains. Again, these are super common. These happen hundreds of times a year. In fact, a Georgia Tech study from some geologists found that there were 13,000 earthquakes over a short amount of time in this East Tennessee Seismic Zone, the ETSZ. Meanwhile, we did have a 4.7 in Alcoa back in 1973. You definitely would have felt that, but you do not feel these weak quakes that are super common. Let's go 3D and show you the heart of the East Tennessee Seismic Zone. A lot of cool geology in Tennessee as well. Obviously, I'm the weather geek, but we have some cool geology too. On the plateau, White County, Van Buren County, Cumberland County, I learned recently that we actually have the world's greatest concentration of caves in karst, which is named after a part of Slovenia. Anyways, this East Tennessee Seismic Zone is just an area that rumbles quite a bit, and the bullseye is South Knox County, Blount, and Monroe. I have absolutely no concern about these day-to-day earthquakes, but it is kind of fun to talk about. It seems to interest people. So these 2 magnitude earthquakes are usually not felt. There's about 1 million of them per year, but it's equal to 33 pounds of explosives. So it's a I think it's a logarithmic scale, what they used to call the Richter scale. 3, again, sometimes it can be felt, not that usual. I've only felt 1 earthquake here really quickly, and that was about 4 or 5 years ago in Tennessee. 4, you would definitely notice some shaking. 5, that would be equivalent to 1,000 pounds of explosive. So it's not a direct line up. I mentioned the Maryville, Alcoa earthquake. This is according to USGS data. That was 1973. That was strong. My goodness. Decatur, which is just outside of our area, I think that's technically in the Sequatchie Valley, 4.4. Vonore in 87, 4.2. And Fincastle, remember this one? Up 3.8 5 years ago. But again, we had that 2.0 moment magnitude earthquake. Pretty interesting stuff. 17 tectonic plates across the globe. And the majority of earthquakes occur along those, but not here in East Tennessee. We have quite a bit of quakes here in the East Tennessee Seismic Zone. It's well studied at UT and Georgia Tech and places like that. We also have these quakes in Oklahoma from fracking, right? So hydraulic fracturing. And so I was reading a book about the Oklahoma State, geologist, basically. There's really interesting stuff there. But in our own backyard, 2.0 moment magnitude earthquake, 301. You didn't feel it. Your pets didn't feel it. But it is kind of cool to talk about. No doubt we will soon have more that we do feel. Every few years we seem to. But we're not in an active fault zone. And yeah, there's generally no big reason to worry. But it is something kind of cool to talk about on an otherwise quiet Wednesday. I'm meteorologist Ben Cathey. 45 minutes. Chief meteorologist Heather Haley will have your more active pattern forecast as we head into a busy weekend up next.